Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, October 6th, 2019. This is episode 1633. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Plex. With Plex, you can organize and stream your personal collection of movies, TV shows, music, photos, anywhere on any device. And Plex right now is offering you a 30-day free trial of Plex Pass, which gives you access to all the premium features. Free for 30 days. Go to plex.tv/twit. Use the offer code TWIT to start your free trial now. And by CashFly. Give your users the seamless online experience they want. Power your site or app with CashFly's content delivery network and be 30% faster than the competition. Learn more at twit.cashfly.com. Excuse me, I'm saying hello to Windows. I'll be right back. Hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Do you have that Windows hello? Hello. Making sure it's you. Good morning, Windows. Got to launch all the computers, start up all the machines, all the engines. It's time to talk high tech. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number if you want to talk high tech on the Tech Guy Show. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You can still reach me even if you're not in the U.S. or Canada. All you have to do really is use Skype out, and that should be free because it's to a toll-free number. 888-827-5536. Our website, which I mentioned at the front, at the beginning, not because I want to make money on you. I don't make money on you. I don't charge you for the use of it. It's actually just a service there, but I do want you to know about it because you got stuff to do. You're driving around. I don't want you to feel like you have to take notes. If there's something you hear you want to remember, don't worry. We'll remember it for you. We'll put it up at the website, techguylabs.com. techguylabs.com. Okay, so just take a deep breath and enjoy the show. That's all you have to do. Just listen, sit back, listen, as they say on the airplane. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I hate that. I hear that all the time. In every context. Pilots, I blame you. Stop saying that. Say, it's got to be a nice flight. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in a bit. If anything happens, I'll let you know. That's fine. You don't have to sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. I don't have to do that. What's going on in the world today? The big stories of the day. Well, Microsoft shocked us a little bit. We didn't, Microsoft for years said, we're never doing another phone. They were so burned with their phone, the Windows phone. It just shows you can't come too late to the game in tech if you I don't know if that, no, I don't want to make a rule. I don't want to make a rule because Apple comes late to the game all the time, and that doesn't seem to hurt them. In fact, that's Apple's MO, their modus operandi. It seems like almost a business strategy. They wait. They watch new technologies. They wait till it's perfected. And then they do it. Then they strike. They did that with the iPod, right? That wasn't the first MP3 player. It was just the best. They did it with the iPad. It wasn't the first tablet. It was just the best. Even the iPhone wasn't the first, computer in a phone. So maybe I'm wrong, but Microsoft did something wrong. I'm not sure what. iPhone was established, Android was established, and there just didn't seem room for Microsoft to do another phone. And the funny thing is, just like Apple, because they came late to the game, they could improve on what Apple and Microsoft and Google had done. I thought the Windows Phone was fantastic. What a great operating system. The little tiles. I was talking to somebody yesterday who likes it so much he's got a little a launcher. I think it's called Square Launcher for his Android phone that makes it look like a Windows Phone. They rethought it. They said, this is it. This is better. We could do this. And still, nobody wanted it. They bought Nokia for billions of dollars. Nokia. They had the best cameras on a phone. 41 megapixel, amazing cameras. They bought them. Nobody, still nothing. They made cheap phones. They made inexpensive phones. They made phones for kids. They made the Microsoft Kin. Well, that was a really cute little phone. It was designed to be simple, easy to use, still a smartphone. They had to kill it in 3 months because it's just nobody wanted it. 3 months. So we thought Microsoft, yeah, they had it. They said, I know we don't get this market. We're out of here. We're going to be, Microsoft is a whole new company. It's a whole new company. They had never made computers before. They started making computers, the Microsoft Surface. Windows and Microsoft Office with their bread and butter for years. They've stopped. They basically just kind of, it's like, yeah, we're all about the cloud now. That's what they said. It's about the cloud and business and the cloud. So we thought it's over. So what they announced this week? A phone. A phone. Now, even weirder, they announced a phone that won't be out till Christmas 2020, more than a year away. But it is kind of cool looking. I talked to a lot of people who said, oh, I like this. It's got 2 screens. It's not a folding phone. It's like a little book. It does fold. It folds in half. But when it opens up, you've got 2 screens left and right. It's running Android, so they aren't trying to do their own thing anymore. That's good. But I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. I kind of wish they were releasing it sooner. Why did they announce it? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why you would announce anything that won't be out for more than a year. But they did. And maybe, I don't know, they're not thinking, well, somebody's going to not buy a phone this year. No, because, no, that's not going to do it. I don't know what they were thinking. It's usually considered a dumb thing to do, to announce a phone. They call it the, let's see, there's the Duo, there's the Neo. Both are dual screens. So the phone is the Duo. The dual screen laptop is the Neo. Both won't be out until 2020, late 2020, which means it could be early 2021. Who knows? No one expected this. A phone. Microsoft themselves said, oh, we'll never do another phone. And look what they did. Look what you did, you silly Microsoft. Look what you did. So I'd love to get my hands on one right now, but we won't. We can't. It's not it's not like, and you might say, well, get the Galaxy Fold. Well, no, I don't want that. That's the phone with a screen that folds in half, which means there's a big crease down the middle of the screen. I don't want that. That's kind of weird. That's kind of strange. That's not what Microsoft's doing. They've got 2 screens and a hinge, and they don't meet in the middle. Well, they meet pretty close in the middle, so I guess you could make it like one screen with a little line down the middle. I don't know. But the idea really is 2 different screens with 2 different apps running side by side, drag information from one screen to the other. They didn't show a camera, but they said, yeah, we'll probably get a camera. Also, if you turn it horizontally, so the screens are, in landscape mode, the top screen stays landscape screen. The bottom screen turns into a little keyboard. Oh, what? I think that sounds so cool. You know what? I love this. Here's what I love. Companies are still innovating. You might say, oh, how could anybody come up with anything new? And honestly, if you look at the crop of phones, they're all slabs of black glass. That's all. They're all, even the new Google phone, which is going to be announced in 9 days, even that has a camera that looks exactly like the new iPhone camera with the little 3 Mickey Mouse eyes looking at you. Ha! I'm a camera. Even Google's doing it's going to look exactly the same. So it's like you honestly, I think if somebody puts the new Pixel 4 next to the new iPhone 11 Pro, people look at the 2 and go, I don't know which is which. It's the same. It's hard to innovate. So when Microsoft does this thing, you look at this, hey, this is different. Good for you, Mike. It's not over. It is not over. We haven't seen the every innovation possible. There's lots still to come. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. I love it. We're going to talk about everything new and exciting in tech, but I'll also talk about why it's not working as well as it ought to. And, I like to do some upbeat stuff too, though. Some positive. Yeah, the future is bright. 888-827-5536. The website, which I told you about, but I didn't give you the address. Silly me, is techguylabs.com. That's what you need to know. You don't need to remember anything else. Everything we talk about on the show will be up there. techguylabs.com, and it's free. 8888 Ask Leo. The future's so bright, I got to wear shades. I've decided, no more, privacy, I'm going to be upbeat. It's a miracle. It's the unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer. Kimmy, don't take no Schaffer. Hello, Kim Schaffer. The unbreakable phone anger. Anger. Here's an anger. Anger danger. Hello, Kim.
Good morning.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
There's quite a debate raging.
What's that?
I have this new theory. In fact, I want to do a podcast. I'm giving away my best ideas here for free. Mm-hmm. I want to do a podcast. Micah Sargent, one of our hosts, says he's going to do it. He's going to call it Hills to Die On. I don't know. I don't think I'm not sure I want. But here's the thing I've noticed, and this happens in tech for sure. The more complicated the subject, the more difficult it is to understand, the harder it is to have an opinion. Not that stops people. But if it's something really dumb, like how do you pronounce GIF? GIF or GIF?
Oh, I actually asked you that yesterday when you said
everybody
something like that.
has a strong opinion because it doesn't matter.
No, I think I say GIF.
I don't even know what I say.
I think
I'm so
I say
confused.
both. I think I interchange them, actually.
Remember that dress last year and people were saying that's a red dress, a gold dress, a blue dress?
Blue and
gold.
Gold and white. White and gold and blue and black.
Yeah.
Or Yanni and Laurel.
Yeah, remember that? Yanni and people love to fight over the dumbest, simplest stuff because everybody can have an informed opinion.
Yeah.
Because there's no real facts or anything.
Well, and I heard those both, too.
So I think a podcast in which you have a debate, or even on this show, we should just, because so people are fighting in the chat room over pizza.
I'll join that show.
Another thing, anybody.
I'll be one of your guests.
Yeah, everybody is qualified to do this.
And as long as we could have taste tests along the way.
Mike B in our chat room says he likes Domino's.
Yeah. I won't say no if it's the only thing there.
I'll say no if it's the only thing there. I will.
I don't know.
I will. I'd have to be starving.
They say there's no such thing as bad pizza. And
that's not true. I think Domino's has solved that.
It's pretty bad, but I have tried it lately because somebody did get it, and it wasn't as bad as I remember as a kid. So I think maybe
it's getting
improved.
Better. I think that's Mike B's contention. The weird thing is he lives in New Jersey where you can actually get good pizza.
Yeah, so why would you do that?
I don't know. You see what I mean? How much fun it is to fight over the silliest things?
Well, we've got 3 Chicago deep dish pizza places in the Bay Area that always vie for the crown of the best. And
yeah, I like deep
I've
dish.
tried 2 of them. I haven't tried the 3rd, but I think I got to try more.
And then Dot Pitch says Chicago pizza, the worst.
And that's all up to some people like totally thin crust, some like, and I like it all. If it's pizza, I'll take it.
So who should I talk to today? What hill shall I die on this episode?
John in Calgary, Canada, has a 2011 MacBook Pro. I think he says it's working like a pro, so I think he's reluctant to update
There's
it.
another good one.
Some kind of,
Mac versus PC,
Yes.
iOS versus Android. That's another good one. Another hill we can all march up. Thank you,
You're
Kim
welcome.
Schaffer. Hello, John in Calgary. Hello, John.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
Hi, Leo.
Hello.
Thanks. How much devalued foreign currency, Canadian currency, can we give you to get you back on TV?
I love going to Toronto. I went to Toronto for 1 week every month. Did 15 episodes in 4 days of Call for Help. It was so much fun. Stopped doing that in 2008. What's funny is they only stopped running the shows a few months ago.
That's right.
Which was embarrassing because they'd show shows from like 2004 where Amber would say, "Look, I just found this new website. It's called YouTube." And I went, "Oh, what is YouTube?" Like an idiot. But then no one knew.
That's right.
You don't want to air that show today, though. It makes you look silly. What can I do for you?
Yeah, listen, I've got a MacBook Pro. It's an i7. It's 2011, and it's running Plex and doing some other things for me, and it runs great. But my concern is...
What can you get? Are you running Mojave, the latest Mac OS on there?
It is.
That's one thing that really, in the long run, will get you. Is Apple at some point says you can't run the latest Mac OS. But you're good. Yeah. You're good. It's an 8-year-old computer. Here's the thing. Intel has really pretty much barely done anything in 10 years, right? So your i7 is pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah. You have enough RAM in there? How much memory do you have?
Yeah, 8 gigs.
8 gigs. Pretty good. They're still selling computers with 8. I like more, right. And you can't put more, I don't think, in that. Maybe you can.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, I think you're stuck. You could put a new hard drive in that. That's pretty easy to do. I've done that. And so if you run out of space or your hard drive wears out, which it will because it's a moving part, you could put an SSD in there very easily. And that'll make the thing feel like, a bullet train. I mean, it makes a huge difference. So you could do that. The only other thing is the battery. And do you run it off power sometimes? Do you have to have battery life?
I leave it on power, Leo. I was going to put in a new hard drive, but my concern is if I can't update that OS anymore, what risks am I running in this?
I don't think substantial. That's why I asked. The first thing I asked is what's the latest OS, because there are older computers, not even much older than yours. A 2009 is probably stuck at Snow Leopard. I don't think. In fact, some might say that Mojave's the last great version of macOS. It's the last one that'll run 32-bit software. So you might just count your lucky stars. You will continue to get security updates for some time. I don't know how much longer, but since you have the latest, Catalina comes out this week or next week soon. But if you have the latest on there up to now, you're going to get updates for at least 5 more years. I think stick with it.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, put a new hard drive in when you feel like you need to. That will actually make it feel much faster. And otherwise, if you don't use the battery's the other thing that wears out. The two things that tend to wear are hard drives and batteries. But if you're not using that, I think you've got a very nice machine. Here's the beauty of this. You got a great keyboard. Apple stopped making great keyboards in 2016. And the other thing is you have a good screen because Apple's always been leading edge with screen, but it's not as good as the more modern screens. Not as high resolution. But you don't care about that.
None of it. No. That's really what was my only concern, and that makes my day.
You keep loving that vintage computer. Make sure you oil it every day, and no, don't put any oil in it. Shine up the screen with a nice soft cloth, and just be glad. No, that's a beautiful. You know what? This is where you benefited. You paid a little extra for an Apple computer, but that thing is built like a tank. Should keep going. No bad capacitors or any of that stuff. Love it. You got a great machine. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And they're still talking about pizza. I'm telling you, people could talk more about the dumbest subjects. Hey, Sam Abuelsamid.
Hey, Leo.
How are you today?
For what it's worth, I do like Chicago-style pizza. I think it's fantastic.
We have so for keto, obviously, I can't eat the crust. But the nice thing about Chicago pizza is I can eat the stuff on top. So I just, what we do is we order a pizza. I take a piece and I scrape the top off. I love it.
Yeah. Recently, my wife found, I think it might have been at Trader Joe's. She found frozen pizza made with a cauliflower flour crust.
What?
And it's actually really good. We actually had one just the other night, and it's actually really good.
Wow.
So I can find out what the brand was and let you know. You might want to try it out.
Cauliflower, interesting. Yeah. Cauliflower flour.
It's not vegan, of course, but
No. Well, you could be if you didn't put any.
If you're gonna be vegan, you might be dead. I mean, what's the point?
What's the point, after all? Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Sam Abuelsamid. He is our car guy, principal researcher at Navigant Research, does the great Wheel Bearings podcast at wheelbearings.media, and joins us every week to talk about automotive technology, because there's a lot of it these days. LA Car Show's next week, or next month. Are you excited about that?
I am. It's always an interesting show. Lots of cool stuff. And a few years ago, they actually started doing a sort of an adjunct to the show they call Automobility LA. So in addition to the usual press previews of the auto show itself, it's kind of a mobility conference that they hold, and they have a lot of interesting panel sessions there. There's some interesting exhibitors. So there's always some. I always learn something when I go to the LA Auto Show, as well as some of the other big shows.
We'll get your report November 14th to the 20th. So I guess we'll get it on that Saturday. So that'll be fun, or Sunday rather. Yeah, that'll be fun. Meanwhile, you have a giant tire behind you. Surely there's no tech in tires. They're just rubber.
Oh, there is. You have no idea how much tech there is in tires. And in fact, as the old saying goes, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. You can have all the coolest technology and sensors and powerful computers in your car, and none of it really matters if your tires don't have a good grip on the pavement. It all comes down to that little patch about the size of the palm of your hand where your tires actually contact the road.
The rubber hits the road. That's what they say.
Exactly. And if that's not working, then none of the rest of it really matters, because you're not going to be able to go anywhere. Back in the early 90s when I started working on anti-lock brakes as an engineer, one of the first things I learned, was that the first law of ABS was Newton was right. About the laws of motion. It all comes down to friction and mass and acceleration. And so, having good tires and having tires that are in good condition is really crucially important. Any time of year, you always want to make sure that you regularly check your tire pressures and, check the tread depth. If your tires are getting worn out, if those grooves start to disappear because the tires wear out, you need to get new tires, because if it rains or, you hit some ice or something, you're not going to have any traction. It's just going to slide. But this time of year in particular, as we're now starting to get into, properly into autumn, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's also important to think about what you're going to do for the winter months. Now, where you live in Petaluma, it's probably not that big a deal, but you only have to drive a few hours to get, to places where there's actual real winter weather up in Tahoe.
We go up to Tahoe to ski.
Yosemite.
Yeah.
Or, even in Southern California, going up to Mammoth. So there's lots of places where, even where you're close to warm weather locales where, winter weather is a real issue. And so, it's important to consider winter tires, if you're going to be driving in those kinds of conditions on a regular basis.
You go to Tahoe around here, as you're driving up, there's guys standing by the side of the road that'll put chains on your tires.
Yep.
Is that okay?
Yeah, those help.
Yeah, they help.
No, that's actually a really good thing, as a temporary thing. If you're going to stick with the summer tires, if you can get some chains and put them on there, that's a good thing. One thing that's important to remember is that these different tires. So we have three main types of tires for on-road use. You've got summer tires, which are typically more performance-oriented tires. You've got what they call all-season tires, which are really jack of all trades and master of none. And then there's winter tires.
Do they have what makes a tire a winter tire?
So there's two main differences. One is the tread design. If you're looking at the screen, you'll see there's one behind me here. You see all those tiny little grooves that are cut in there. Modern winter tires, they're called sipes. So they cut these tiny grooves in there, and that helps the tire to actually get a grip on icy or snowy surfaces, because it lets it you get more of those edges on there, and it can actually get a better grip on the snow and ice. The other thing that's different is the actual rubber compound. With summer tires and even all season tires, once you get below about 40 degrees Fahrenheit, the rubber actually starts to get really hard, and in order to have a grip on the road, the rubber has to be kind of pliable.
Oh, I never thought of that. That makes sense.
If the rubber gets hard, you actually get a lot less traction.
Yeah.
And so winter tires are designed even if there's no snow or ice, even if the road's dry but it's cold, the winter tires stay more pliable, so you have a lot better traction in wintertime or in cold weather conditions. So it's if you're going to be driving in those kinds of conditions for several months out of the year, like we often do here in Michigan and in many other states around the country, it's a good idea to get a set of winter tires. And what I've done in the past is, when I had a Mustang, is I actually had 2 sets of wheels and tires. So I had a set of wheels that were mounted with winter tires and a set of summer tires. Come around Thanksgiving time or depending on the weather, if it gets cold earlier, it might be earlier, but typically around Thanksgiving, I would jack up the car, take off the summer tires, put on the winters, and stack the summers in the corner. And then in the spring, around March or so, do the opposite.
You think that's better than an all-season tire? I'm sure most people just opt for the
absolutely.
all-season.
It's winter tires are so much better than all-season tires. I mean, as a backstop, all-season tires are okay, but you'll have much better traction with actual proper winter tires. And in fact, in some places, it's actually a legal requirement that you switch to winter tires. Like places like Quebec, where Rene Ritchie lives, I think you're actually required to put on winter tires during the winter season. Yeah.
How about studs? Do they have
Studs help. I mean, studs are great, but it depends where you live.
Must tear the road up something awful.
On pavement, it's generally not legal. You're not supposed to use studs on dry pavement because it will tear up the roads, and it's also it wears the studs out really fast. If you live in the when I've done long stretches of winter testing up in northern Sweden, we had studded tires on all of our vehicles that we drove around in, and it's amazing how much traction you get with those. If you live in some place like say South Dakota or North Dakota, or Montana, where you get some pretty severe winters, studs can absolutely be great. If you're driving off pavement, where you're not going to be encountering dry pavement, studs are a great option. But I got
another question for you.
Yeah.
What about these auto socks?
Yeah, I think those are mainly just designed for a temporary. When you get stuck, you can put those around your tire just to help you get some initial traction to get going. And once you break free and get to some place where you can move consistently, I don't think you're not really supposed to drive on them.
It says avoid excessive speed, but that's true of chains too. Yeah. Not faster than 30 miles an hour. Yeah,
absolutely. And an option, if you want to get a set of winter tires, there's a lot of tire retailers that will actually do packages selling you a set of winter tires and an extra set of wheels to put on the car, so you don't have to dismount and mount the tires twice a year. You can just take them off, stack them somewhere.
Like that
and some
idea.
Tire stores will even store your winter tires for you in the summer and vice versa in the wintertime for a nominal fee. So like Tire Rack is a great place to look for winter tire packages. You can just put in whatever car you have. Like I was just looking up for the 2019 Bolt that you have. You can get a winter tire and wheel package for about $500.
Oh, that's not bad.
And they will have it mounted and balanced. They'll ship them to you, and then all you got to do is jack up your car and put them on, and stick the summer tires in the garage.
I'm so glad you brought this up because we don't have snow here, and I don't even really think about that. But that's really important information as we get closer to winter. Sam Abuelsamid, wheelbearings.media. That's his podcast from Navigant Research. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Leo.
Yeah, always a pleasure. And we will talk again next week. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We'll take some more calls right after this. I'm going to give you back your wheel socks, John.
John's.
They're John's socks.
I haven't seen those particular before, but yeah, I mean, there's
Say again?
Stuff you can get.
You can get about 3 uses.
He says you can get 3 Oh, they're only for 3 uses. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're plastic.
But the cops will let you through chain control.
The cops say you got them. You don't need to stop and get chains.
Right.
They count.
They're as good as chains in most
As
states.
good as chains in most states.
Okay.
Auto sock.
Get me over the 80.
Yeah, you only have that kind of for emergency use because you don't.
If I'm going to see Humphreys McGee in Idaho.
If he's going to see Humphreys in Idaho, then he needs the auto sock.
I'll have to get a set of those and try them out this winter.
That was a
See how they
great topic I would have never thought of because I don't drive in the snow.
Yeah, and most people don't, or at least a lot of people obviously don't. But for those of us that do, a couple of years ago, I came back from the Chicago Auto Show, which is in February, and they had delivered an Alfa Romeo Giulia to me.
Ooh.
That even though it was on winter tires, that day when I was taking the train back from Chicago, we got hit by a snowstorm. There's like 10 inches of snow on the ground and covering the car. And the problem is in that case, the car just didn't have enough ground clearance to get through, and they hadn't plowed my street yet. And I had, so I actually had to take my snowblower and actually plow out the side of the street
Before
so
you
I could
get that home.
Yeah. Well, actually, to get out, because I'd taken a lift home from the train station to get, because we had to go to a memorial service for someone, and so I had to find a way to get out. So I actually plowed it all the way out to the street.
You're a good neighborhood. You're a good neighbor. That's a good thing to have.
Do what I can.
When I had my Tesla, my Model X, I went through 3 sets of tires in 3 years with it, and that wasn't more than, I can't remember, it was like 20,000 miles less, I think. 20,000 miles, 3 sets of tires.
Yeah.
Why is that? They just use soft rubber?
Yeah, it's probably a performance tire that they had on there, which is typically a softer rubber that wears out faster.
You can't rotate tires on the Model X because the front tires aren't the same size as the back. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is
stupid.
That's an issue. Well, you do it, to on some vehicles for better dynamics, to have more balanced handling, depending on the weight distribution and power distribution.
It's nicely balanced.
Yeah.
Another reason I wasn't going to get another Tesla. That was expensive. Those tires. Third time they finally said, well, let's put something that'll last a little longer on there. I said, well, that's fine, except the lease ends in 2 months, so bye.
Yeah. Something else another model you might want to consider next year is the Polestar 2, which is Polestar traditionally has been Volvo's performance sub-brand.
Oh, I love Volvos. They're going to have electric Volvo?
Yeah. So Polestar is now going to be Volvo's electric brand.
Oh, nice.
And they're going to be launching that next year, and so that's another one.
I actually saw that. I thought that sounds really good. Although I like that canoe. Is that going to be out by Christmas 2020?
No, it won't be out till sometime in 21.
I love that idea.
Yeah,
and it's got a bench seats in the back. It's got like a sofa.
All right.
All right. Okay. Hey, thank you, Sam.
I'll shoot you and Karsten a note with the details on the auto show.
That'd be great.
And
it'd be fun to go down there and cover it. It would really be fun. And I'll have a day or two. I might be tired. We'll see how I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, even if it's just like the days before the actual press previews, when there's a lot of offsite stuff happening.
I can't because I don't get back to the 15th. It would have to be during the big time. Thank you, Sam. Have a great one.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Take care. Do you know about Plex? Of course you do. Plex brings together all the media that matters to you into one app that's available on any device, no matter where you are. You can organize and stream your collection of movies, TV shows, music, and photos free. Also free. Stream your favorite podcasts, your web series, your news. This is basically your media center. And it runs over the network. You can put Plex on any device, on your phones, on your desktops, on your Fire TV, your Roku, your Apple TV, and now you could see your content wherever you are. I, however, recommend highly, so you can do that all for free, but I highly recommend the Plex Pass. The Plex Pass, I have a lifetime Plex Pass, but you can get it as little as $5 a month. You get the best of Plex and exclusive early access to premium features like, get ready for this, offline accessibility. You can download your movies, shows, music, and photos, put it on your iPad or your phone as you go head out. You can watch it on the plane, offline enjoyment wherever you go. You better believe I'm doing that before our trip. I'm going to load my iPad up, thanks to Plex, with all my shows. That's not all, though. With the Plex Pass, you can watch live broadcast TV. You even get a DVR. All you need is an antenna and a tuner. You could stop paying for cable. You could still enjoy great TV. You get customized news. The news feature in Plex brings you quick access to over 190 sources and more all the time for national, international, and local news. 80% of U.S. markets to all supported Plex streaming players. So even though, you cut the cord, you still get all your news. You get premium music. Love that. Lyrics, custom curated playlists based on your music preferences, so you can play your music and stream. And I love when you've got your movies, you drop them in the media folder on your Plex server. It automatically organizes them, adds additional content like trailers, behind-the-scene features, never-before-seen footage. You get album art that's the box cover. I mean, it's just fantastic. TV shows, drop them in. It'll automatically say, oh, that's Season 4, Episode 2. It'll put them in order. And if you've got multiple users, it's so much easier to switch users with Plex Home. You can create customized managed accounts, making switching users easy. So Lisa's got her account, I've got my account, all on our same Plex server. I'm running it off of Synology. I love this thing. They even have parental controls. So the kids can have their accounts. They can watch the good stuff. I just love Plex. With Plex Pass, you also get Plex Pass perks. Exclusive access to promos and discounts on partner products. You also get to use the newest features before anyone else. I was using the new interface long before anyone else. Couldn't show you, but I loved it, and I love it now that it's out. Cut the cord, baby. Save big. Plex is offering Twit listeners a 30-day free trial of Plex Pass. That's all the premium features, so you can see for yourself. Go to Plex, plex.tv/twit. Use the code TWIT to start your free trial of Plex Pass today. Plex.tv/twit. You know my project. I'm going to be replacing all the TiVos in the house with one Silicon Dust HD home run. Going to attach the Plex server to it. Going to have DVR. Going to have live TV. Going to be able to watch. I got to do this before we go so I can, be in Dubai and watching my Plex. Be in Athens, watch my Plex. Be on the plane and watch my Plex. Plex.tv/twit. Don't forget the offer code TWIT. Don't we all love Plex? Don't we all love it? Who doesn't love it? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo the phone number if you want to talk about tech. I'd love to talk about it with you. Judy is on the line from Citrus Springs, Florida. Hello, Judy. Oh, I got to push a button.
With you.
Go. Nice to talk to you. Thank you.
Yes. Well, that car sounds interesting with the seat. I wonder if it'll be covered in velveteen.
We were talking, this is off the air. You heard the off-air conversation I had with Sam. Last week, he talked about a car company in Southern California called Canoo, Canoo, that's going to do a for rent only electric vehicle in 2021. And yeah, it's kind of more like a living room on wheels than anything else. It's strangest looking car ever.
And I suppose they'll be driving you around. They'll probably be driving you around.
It kind of looks like an autonomous vehicle because it doesn't have a hood. It's it looks like a little capsule that drives around. Very weird. We live in strange times, don't we, Judy?
Yes, it seems that way. This is just a comment, and your assistant lady there, she's very knowledgeable as well. But I had a friend that purchased an Apple Watch last week and returned it because he lives by himself. Here in Florida, as you know, it's an awful lot of retirees, and I'm one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I lost my partner 25 years ago.
Oh, sorry.
I have my home. Well, he was a wonderful guy for 24 years, and we had two beautiful girls. But at any rate, that's life. That's life. Okay.
Yep.
He was a workaholic, and so he worked himself into his grave.
That's a good lesson for us all. And here you are, 25 years later. You're enjoying life.
Yeah. Well, somewhat I am, but we have a special problem with a lot of us that have lost our partners in life, living alone.
Yeah.
We live alone,
yeah.
Okay? And we'd like to get an Apple Watch that, if, God forbid, it's kind of a downer to think this way, but we have to where we're our age.
Of course. And the Apple Watch, I wear it and I turned on all those features, including the fall detection. So if I fall, it will say, you just fell. And if I don't respond, there was just a case, a guy was bicycling, and he fell off his bike, knocked himself unconscious. The watch said, you've fallen. Are you okay? He didn't respond. It called emergency services, sent them the location. They rescued him. He came to in the ambulance. He said, how did you find me? They said, your watch called us.
It's amazing. I
Amazing.
guess it must have been model 4 or 5, I would imagine, because I think my friend bought the Model 3, and he returned it because he told the guy at Best Buy, this is no good for me. If I have a heart attack in the middle of the night, I want somebody to know it so that my body doesn't sit in the house for days, you know.
I don't blame you. My mom,
you know.
I don't blame you. Now, it won't, that's the problem. It's not magic. So it's not, it'll detect a fall. It has an emergency button. So if you are conscious but you're not able to get to the phone, you can press and hold the side button, and you'll get an emergency SOS slider. It'll count.
But if you're gone, you're gone. And
well, if you die, it doesn't. Because I'll tell you, you want to know why it doesn't know, Judy? Because you could have taken the watch off.
Yeah.
And so it can't say, well, I don't feel a pulse. I guess, that's interesting, though. Apple could say.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Apple could say, I don't feel a pulse, but I was. Well, no, I don't know how it would know. It would need to know that it's on a person's wrist and it doesn't feel a pulse. What it will do, and mine is set to do this, if my pulse, the default goes over 120 beats and I'm not doing any exercise, it doesn't detect motion, it will say, are you okay? And if it goes below 60 or 50, maybe it's 50, you can set this, by the way, and it doesn't detect, it says, are you okay? Your heart rate's really low, but I don't know if it will call home on that. So you might be right. It isn't
that magical.
It's not that magical.
Good, but it's not excellent. It's good, but it's not excellent.
It does require you to be alive.
I know.
Unfortunately, life does not, but it does. So, and I think that's because it would be, I'm just trying to think about it. It would be difficult for them to know that you're still wearing it. Like maybe, because
you're saying if he was not feeling well when he was going to bed that evening, just to, an example, he should take it off? No,
because once it'll detect a heart attack, it'll detect a fall, but if you just croak, it won't know the difference between you having croaked and you having taken the watch off. It's because I don't hear a pulse. It can't call just because it doesn't get a pulse, right?
Yeah,
Unless it has some other way of saying, well, I am on a wrist, but there's no pulse. If it knew that somehow, maybe the next update.
Yeah, right. Just add on a few $100 more.
I have to, I'm wondering if there is a device, a medical alert style device that will do that.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I have something that I wear around publicly, but, and I get much more attention that way also.
Is it a beautiful diamond? I mean...
No, it's just a little square box like I wear on my neck, and it was a big Red Cross sign.
Oh, so they see it and they say, oh my God, are you okay, Judy? What happened to you?
They can tell I'm okay, but it's like, if I really had an emergency, it would be quick response.
Yeah. See, that's good. So if you could say to the watch, look, you're always on me. I never take you off. So if you don't feel a heartbeat, I'm dead. Call my relatives. I guess you could do that. But you have to take it off to charge it. So Dr. Mom says, well, you don't get cold immediately if it sensed temperature. But the thing is, it could be warm. It could just be warm. I don't know how the watch would know that it's on a person.
Yeah, right.
I just don't.
It's not a robot yet.
Dr. Mom, who specializes in this kind of thing, she says, as far as she knows, there's no device currently available that will sense you have died.
Yeah. Okay.
So, that's my mom worries about this. She's 86. She worries about that too. She says in the winter, she read a story, 50 years ago about a woman who died and nobody discovered her till the spring thaw. And she was a skeleton in a fur coat. And
goodness.
She's always telling me, I don't want to be a skeleton in a fur coat.
So she's got to be in the north then, I guess.
She's in New England where, see, you were smart. You got out of that area anyway.
Oh, I did. I couldn't take Long Island 2014. I walked out of my apartment and I had snow up to my breast almost.
I remember that.
And
yeah.
we were in second place to Boston that year.
Yeah.
And this is enough. It took me 3 hours to clean off my car. I said,
Enough.
I can't do this anymore. There was so much snow. They had to get the dump trucks to come into our little community and dump it in the ocean.
Oh, my
Dump
goodness.
the snow in the ocean.
Oh, my goodness.
It went so high in the sky, they had no more room for it. Unbelievable.
Nowhere to
right?
plow it to, hey?
That's right.
Judy, it's a pleasure talking to you. I'm sorry that, the Apple Watch is
Well-
really amazing, but it doesn't
Yeah.
yet detect the death of its wearer.
Right. I know. Well, who knows what they can come up with? We
Wouldn't
have
it be
a lot
funny
of
if it pinched
technology.
you? If it went, are you okay? Pinched you? Wake up. And if you don't respond to the pinch, it says, uh-oh. Call emergency
Well, I
services.
thank you, Leo.
Pleasure
You've
talking
got a
to you,
great
Judy.
sense of humor.
Thank you.
You take care. Bye-bye.
You take care. Bye-bye. There's some things that just can't do. The other thing everybody's waiting for, non-invasive blood test. Especially for diabetics, but for all kinds of conditions. It'd be great if the watch could sense your blood, but it can't. It only can sense your heart beating, and it doesn't do a very good job of that because your wrist turns out not to be a great place for that. But it does it good enough. That was a great call. That was... Oh, my God. It didn't know he was dead. So he took it back. Oh, I don't know what to say. This is something you think about, right? This is something you think about. Get a camera in the house. Have a relative. That's actually a good solution. It won't. I should have mentioned this, but there are a number of camera solutions. In fact, we interviewed a person that was making one specifically for this, so that it will detect motion. You don't have to watch mom, but if you expect mom to get up in the morning and you haven't detected motion by 10, say, it can ping you and say, it can. They had a little thing you could put on a pill bottle to see if she's been taking her pills without spying on her. Because some people reasonably don't want their kids to have cameras into their house. I should have mentioned that. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. If you want to talk about tech, I'm here for you, baby. 8888 Ask Leo. Website, techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. That's a good thing to know because you don't have to write anything down. It's free. It's always there, 24/7. You just go there. There's a search. You can find anything I talked about. And you can add your comments, which I appreciate if you do that. That's great. There's no charge. No sign up. Nothing. Well, you sign up to leave comments. That's just to slow spammers down. And you can use your Twitter, Google, Facebook account. TechGuyLabs.com. Chris in Roseburg, Oregon. Hello, Chris.
Hey.
How are ya? Welcome.
Good. Hey, I was just calling. I called you before we talked about the Epson EcoTank and great printers and everything.
Thank you.
I was just wondering. I've been buying the ink from one of the big box stores. That's for the printer, but it seems like I have 4 of them, and it seems like the blue, the cyan, stops printing, and then you do a head cleaning, and it seems like you can do one, and it's a quick clean, and the second one's kind of a little bit more intricate, and then the third one's a lot longer. And it seems like the blue keeps, the jet keeps clogging, and we print a lot with it.
So clogging normally. Well, a couple of things. First of all, my experience with inkjet printers is they clog if you don't use them pretty regularly. Sounds like you do use it regularly. Epson, when I said that, Epson said, no, ours never clog because we have a special coating that keeps them from clogging. Okay, fine. Um, but that's kind of the nature of the inkjet. However, if you're printing regularly, you shouldn't see any problems like that. So I wonder if there's a defect. I would call Epson. Now you are using Epson ink, right?
Yeah, I go to the office box stores.
Yeah, they don't sell counterfeit ink. This has been a problem, big problem on Amazon. You can never be sure quite what you're getting. It might say official Epson ink or official, Sony batteries or whatever. And it's counterfeit. You can't tell. It bugs companies because they, of course, get the blame. You buy a battery that says it's from Sony and it doesn't work. Sony's going to get the blame. It's not their fault because it's a counterfeit. So this is a big problem in ink for printers for sure. There's a lot of counterfeit ink. But if you're getting it at a big box store, you're getting Epson ink. So it's not that.
Yeah, it just seems like it's the blue, and we print these sheets that have blue. It's a bold blue line that we have for evening activities. We have to print.
Oh, this is great. This is like your family schedule?
Well, yeah.
I love that. What a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, so we bold things so it's visually you can just kind of glance at it. But I notice it starts to get yellow, and it's because
blue is a combination. Yeah.
Right.
There is no blue tank, as you probably already noticed.
No, well, it's cyan.
Cyan is bluish, but it's not the blue you're using, I bet. Cyan is a much lighter blue. Yeah, there's cyan. So these printers are what we call Cmyk printers: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And any other color has to be made with a combination of nozzles. So that's what's interesting to me. It isn't just like if you're printing a cyan line and that was getting messed up, then it would be maybe that nozzle. But it's really a combination of colors to get the blue that you're printing, I think, unless it's cyan. Exactly.
Well, what's interesting is when you print a test print, when it says print head cleaning.
Yeah.
And some of the lines are missing.
Yeah,
Yellow,
that's a clogged. That's clogged.
Okay.
I would call Epson. And how old is the printer?
This one is about 1.5 years.
Okay.
The one that just started doing it again. I've been buying them for however long they've had them.
I think that sounds like a defect. So I would say tell Leo. Leo told me to buy this printer, and now he's telling me to call you because I think I have a defect on the nozzle here. You did the thorough cleaning.
Well, like I was saying, you do the first one, it's kind of quick, and the second one, but the third one's really heavy duty.
That's right. As you keep doing it, that's right. I forgot. They don't have a button for it, but as you keep doing it, they say, all right, we're going to have to do the thorough one here. And that still does not fix it.
No, it'll eventually, after a while, it kind of, it'll get it knocked out and get it kind of clean, and then it'll go for a while, and then boom, and there it goes again. But it's not any of the other colors.
That's frustrating.
And this is on multiple printers. It's not just the one. So I'm just curious, is there something?
Oh.
Because I have about 4 of them.
Oh.
It seems like cyan seems to be the one that I have trouble with.
Huh.
Yeah. I know. It's every once in a while red will kick out, but I clean it and boom, it's good. But the cyan
so it's not a defective printer if it's 4 printers that all do. Why do you have 4 printers?
Because I have one at home. I have one at home. My son.
Good. I'm glad Epson's going to be happy to hear that. But at the same time, I think they may not be happy to hear about this. I would call them just to see. The nice thing about they're eco tanks or they're just regular cartridges.
Yeah, and they feed them with tubes and stuff, and you can pop them out. And you can
nice thing about the eco tanks is you're not nearly as worried about a nozzle cleaning as you would be with a cartridge. You can use up half a cartridge with a nozzle cleaner.
I know. Oh, it does. You watch those little tanks.
You can see it go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're dirt down low. Yeah.
I think you're gonna have to call support. I have nothing to add. That's not right. Obviously, it's not good. And if you want color, you got to use inkjet really because any other solution for color is just not as good. So I would call them and say, hey, what's the deal? Maybe they know. They may know about it. And if they don't, everybody who has a problem should always call to let them know. And if they see 100 calls and they say, oh, we got a problem here, maybe they can make it right.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you heard anything.
I have not. But that's why, see, this is the thing. I believe tech support they don't do this because, what company wants to admit problems? But they should be collecting information about problems, because that's how you tell the front office or the designers or the nerds, hey, there's a problem. And that's your best data point is customers who call in and say, just so you know, I got a problem. But that doesn't mean they'll fix it. But I don't know what they'll do with the information. But boy, and I think maybe they may say, oh yeah, we know about this.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'll give them a call. And I have a quick side question.
Sure.
Are they going to be making Qwerty phones, the slide phones, the candy bar phones, the ones you slide open?
They stopped that. Yeah, there was one.
Is that gone?
Yeah, I think so. There was one a couple of years ago, and then they disappeared.
I know.
You like a physical keyboard, huh?
Oh, well, yeah, and the fact that, you put those ones in your pocket, sometimes they lock, sometimes they don't, and your face dials on them. And me, I was just a Qwerty phone kind of guy.
I love them. Starting with the Danger Sidekick, and then the very first Android phone was like that from HTC. But I think that there's, must be some consensus among phone manufacturers that nobody wants these because they have stopped making them, as far as I know. Yeah, I'll look and see. If I can find one for you, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't like on-screen typing. It's just, I'm not accurate. The nice thing on the new Apple iPhone and iOS 13, they finally put a swipe keyboard in, and I like that. I don't know if you've ever tried swipe keyboard, but the idea that
one of my employees showed me that. She goes, "Hey, look at this."
It's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool, but I tried it myself, and
takes some getting used to, but it's better than tapping, I think.
Yeah,
and it's more accurate. But it takes a certain amount of trust. Because you're drawing basically on the screen, and you don't know if it's going to work, and then so you have to say. But if you trust autocorrect, my experience, especially with the Apple implementation in iOS 13, is it's pretty good. I always liked it on Android, and now I'm just thrilled that they put it in iOS. I think it's fantastic. Hey, I appreciate the call. 8888 Ask Leo if you can figure this cyan issue out. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, coming up in 10. Looking forward to that. Meanwhile, back to the phones. Line 4, Karen in Olympia, Washington. Hello, Karen.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Hey, I thought on the Apple Watch and the notifications.
Yes.
What if it had a feature kind of like the sleep time or an alarm where if something you set that before you went to sleep, if your heart stopped, it would be set to automatically send text to your personal contact.
That's a good idea.
And, hey, call your friends, make sure they're okay.
That's a good idea. I like it. Let's call Apple. We'll call them and we'll say, got to do that. What Apple realized about the watch, because when it first came out, it kind of was scattershot, did this, did that. They really pushed Apple Pay, paying with a watch. But I think they realized pretty quickly, and they've really doubled down on it, that health is the number one reason. Health and fitness is why people wear the Apple Watch, to help them exercise, to help them keep track, to check their heart, and it's turned out, I cannot live without it now. And I mocked it for a long time. I said, it's dumb. Nobody should buy an Apple Watch. And now that's the only watch I'll wear. It's not the most attractive watch ever. It's kind of clunky and big, but it's so functional. Now, of course, you have to have an iPhone. That's the only downside. In fact, a lot of people in the chat room saying, when is there going to be a better Android watch? Well, or maybe Apple will make it for Android. I don't know.
Oh, no.
No, I think they want you to buy iPhones. I think that's the idea.
I think so. Yeah.
So, Karen, you wanted to ask about your router?
Yeah. Okay. So remember, I'm an amateur and I'm learning some things. But and earlier I was watching one of your older videos from several years ago about flashing firmware.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
You want to do that, huh?
Well, no. My situation, not ideal at the time, but I have a really nice Aris surfboard cable modem router in a box in the closet, and I'm using a inexpensive Action Tech modem router with my broadband provider.
You must be Verizon then.
CenturyLink.
CenturyLink, okay. But is it fiber or is it cable?
Um,
The Action Tech router's a pretty common ISP router, and usually not the best thing in the world.
no.
You should check with CenturyLink to see if they'll support the Eris. They probably will. Almost everybody does. That's kind of the most common cable modem out there. So you should check, make sure it's compatible. The problem is, so flashing your firmware. You flash your firmware all the time. You just don't know it.
True then.
You're a firmware flasher going way back. Anytime you update the BIOS on a computer or you do a major phone update, in many cases, you're flashing the firmware. All that means, firmware is, you know, your hardware has three kinds of data storage. It's, you know, hard drive or flash memory is kind of like, that's where you put the files, the programs, your music, your photos, your data. There's also RAM, you know, the memory that the stuff gets loaded into, so it's a lot faster. So when a computer's working with a photo, for instance, it'll take it off the storage and put it in the RAM memory so it can work with it easily. But there's a third kind of storage that we don't normally talk about or play with. It's called firmware. It's not soft, it's not hard, it's firm. And firm means that it can be modified, but it's not modified often. It's not as quickly and easily modified as a hard drive. It requires a little extra steps. So if you ever update the BIOS on your computer, for instance, that's firmware. That's in your, it's not stored on the hard drive. It's not stored in memory. It's stored in a special chip that's programmable, but not designed to be constantly written to. Same thing on your phone. Your operating system is often in firmware, at least parts of it are. So it's not a big deal to update when you, anytime you update your router, you're modifying the firmware. But what you're talking about is, instead of using the company's provided update or provided firmware,
Yes.
using a third-party firmware.
Yes.
And honestly, they're very good, but they're limited in the number of routers they'll support. So there's the one I recommend is DD-WRT. That's probably the one we were talking about. We've talked in the past about Tomato, but I don't think Tomato's being kept up to date. If you go to DD-WRT.com, you'll see where you can download it. But more, before you even do that, you'll also see a router database to see if it's compatible. So you're going to search for your router that you want to modify and see if you could put DD-WRT on it. And I'll give you the bad news. Most routers, you cannot. It has to be a certain chipset, a certain chip, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you really wanted to do that, what I would do is figure out what router's the best for DD-WRT and get that. I often recommend ASUS routers because they use their own version of DD-WRT. They call it ASUS WRT, which is based on DD-WRT. Why would you want to use that instead of the company's firmware? Well, it's because it's open source. It's kept up to date. It often has many more features, can do a lot more things. In general, you're better off with DD-WRT just because you know, router companies don't make a lot of money on routers. They don't spend a lot of time keeping them up to date. They often don't push out new firmware when they really ought to. Routers are one of the most insecure devices in your house. So I don't know if your Eris will work with DD-WRT. You'll have to look it up first. But if it doesn't, there are many that do. It's a fun thing to do, but I got to warn you, as I'm sure I did on that video,
Yes, you did.
there's always a risk that you'll do something wrong or something will go wrong, not even on your fault, and it will...
And you brick it.
You brick it. You turn it into a useless piece of hardware. I don't want you to do that.
I don't want to do it either. I
Yeah.
really like to use it.
But how do you become a geek if you don't brick a few things? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Karen is on her way to geekdom. In fact, I think you're already there.
Your videos are awesome, though.
Oh, Karen, you're great. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Stay tuned, because Chris Marquardt, we're going to do a little photography stuff. Chris Marquardt coming up next. Yes, and never write the firmware on a device you don't own. That's good advice, too. Hello, Chris Marquardt.
Hello, how are you
Hello, I
today?
got your email. I'm ready.
We have a assignment review, so that's good. Very good.
Very good.
How's the cameras going?
Oh, man, I love my A7. And Bruce is in here, and he, because of me, bought an A7R4, so you get indirect credit. He's got his lovely 1635 G Master lens on it. That's a great lens. Love that lens. Chris is big on wide angle. He's like the king of wide angle. He loves that.
I'm not sure about the king part.
Well, you wrote a book on it. That's more than most.
Well, and especially now with the new phones supporting 13 millimeters. I mean,
I
that's
love it. I love ultra wide angle. Everybody's
now.
discovered it.
Yeah, I mean, the moment you have that tool in your pocket, you find out that it does weird things. Yeah,
it's so awesome.
I'm happy that they did that.
Yeah, I am too. They kind of had to. Samsung stuck it to them. And I think it was a last-minute thing because it doesn't support RAW. It doesn't do focusing. It's almost like they just glued that lens on here and said, well, we got to do it. It doesn't really support the rest of the system, you know, all the other stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit of an outlier, but still, it's 13 millimeters. That's
super wide. I know.
That's very crazy.
And they're doing the correction, so it doesn't look, bad.
No, it looks really good.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really need optical image stabilization. With that focal length, you can get away with a lot.
Shake it like crazy.
Yeah.
So that's the zoomed in. What is that, about 55? I can't remember what the...
they double 13, 26, and 52.
Oh, that's right. They double. So 52.
Each one doubles.
And that is 26.
Which is interesting because they never really, on the user interface, they never talk about millimeters. They just go 0.5, 1, 2.
Which is
so
simple. Frankly, it would have been better to do a letter or something, 0.512. But watch this. This is also amazing. I'm now in the widest. As I zoom in, it doesn't just switch lenses. It zooms. It zooms.
This is one other bastion that the smartphones are taking away. Optical zoom through a pretty big range.
Computational.
And it feels like it's one single lens. Yeah.
It's basically computational zoom because there really are only 3 lenses. Hello.
And you broke it.
I broke it. Stupid phone.
Well, it's the buggy iOS 13.
Yeah. Well, it's the buggy but patched 3 times now, iOS 13.1.4 or whatever. So this is nice too. Yeah, you can do this. Oh, I'm trying to do. How do I? I thought there was a way. Maybe this is the downside of having many phones. I thought I could.
Is that a different app you're looking at?
Maybe.
Or is it in the video interface? Maybe.
Yeah, because if I swipe now, it's shifting me over. But I thought I could do that. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I think you leave the finger on.
You have to hold the button. But that's basically continuous. What looks like optical zoom.
Sometimes you get a little parallax thing when it switches cameras, but still, hey. It's
time for our photo guy. Chris Marquardt is here, our photo guru. He is the very talented photographer at discoverthetopfloor.com, the podcaster at Tips from the Top Floor. He does photo workshops, takes amazing pictures. Hello, Chris. Good to talk to you.
Hello.
How's life at the Viewfinder Villa?
Well, fall has fallen. It's getting colder.
Is it cold?
It's getting grayer. The more gray it gets, the less colors you have, the less you want to go out and take photos. So it's the time of year when I really kind of have to give myself a little project and
force yourself.
So I go out and maybe participate in some assignments. See what I did there?
Yeah, well, we do that, right? We give you an assignment every month with that express purpose to get you out taking pictures.
Yes.
We've been working our way through the alphabet. This month it was F for focus.
No. Oh, yeah, right. It was focus, and we have 42 people who participated out of our group of,
nice.
I don't even know, 13,000 people.
Yikes.
Amazing stuff. Great photos. And I have picked 3 of them to look at around focus. And the first one is by Vlad Adi. And it's a photo of a spider web. And it has a few things. First of all, it does have very shallow focus. So the spider web is in focus and everything in front of it and behind it is out of focus.
This is beautiful.
That's kind of the photo I was hoping for. One more thing you see in there, which I actually kind of like, is the lens flare you see in the middle of the photo. So there must be some bright light source behind there. Maybe he's even fired a flash there. And what happens in the lens is that light bounces between those different glass elements. A lens is not just one piece of glass. It's like 5 or 6 or 8 pieces of glass. So all these surfaces reflect light back, and that goes back and forth and ends up on the sensor as a little spot of light. But for some reason, that really gives the photo a bit of a kick, I think. I like that.
I love it. It's not it is a defect, I guess, but it's not a defect in that it looks great. How does he do different focal points, though? Because part of the spider web's in very crystal clear focus, and part of it isn't. Of course, that was the assignment, but how does he do that?
That's a very good question. Maybe there's some software that did that. It's an EOS M6, so it's an APS-C sensor, which should be able to do that. But you're right, there are some things that are kind of...
it's weird because the one on the right looks like it's this. Normally, the things that are there's a focal point for every camera.
You're right.
And things at that focal point would be in focus. The things that aren't should be out of focus. But that doesn't seem to be what's going on here. I don't know.
Well, it looks strange, but
I like it.
Maybe that's just some software that does it. I like it.
Messing with it.
Looks fun.
I like it. Very nice.
Second one is by Tommy G. Focus on what matters. And it's one of these photos that has several layers of stuff going on. So what Tommy did is he shot a photo of a page that repeats focus on what matters over and over, but the page is not in focus. What is in focus is he's also holding a magnifying glass in front of that page, and then what's inside the magnifying glass is in focus, but the magnifying glass itself is not in focus. And I kind of like that those different layers, not just in the picture itself with different layers of layers of depth, but also it's the topic, it's the focus, it's the camera's in focus, and there's a focusing device in there. Another fun thing you also see in there is the quality of the magnifying glass. Do you see these color fringes on the text?
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have an uncorrected lens, and lens manufacturers spend a lot of time making sure that doesn't happen with your photos.
It's called color fringing, and he's got it.
Color fringing.
You know what I love about this?
Aberration.
What I love about this is what you would think would be in focus would be the magnifying glass and the hand holding it. But it's completely out of focus. So is the page behind it. The only thing in focus is the thing that's being magnified by the magnifying glass. It's a very nice effect. This is I would say clip art worthy.
And what is in focus talks about focus. So
yeah. This would be
layers upon layers.
You could sell this as a stock photo.
Of course.
It belongs in a PowerPoint somewhere.
Yeah. The last one is by Chris Boland.
I had no idea that Cartier-Bresson was in our photo group.
Yeah, isn't that one of those street shots?
It's a classic.
It's a black and white street shot of it's some people in the front. There's a guy with a hat. There's other people just going about their day. There's some cars back there. You can see a London taxi in the background. You might even spot right behind that person a London bus, and it has that it does have that Cartier-Bresson feeling. It has that timeless street photography feeling. The focus in this is on that person, but not quite, and I don't know. But it gives that photo a very interesting effect. The
hat
out of
becomes the
focusness
center.
of the
It's at
background.
literally the center of the photo and becomes the center of focus. But the focus isn't on the hat.
The focus is more on the arm. So
It's
yeah,
just
but
a
it doesn't
great
really
picture.
matter.
No.
I think one thing we can learn from that photo is focus is relative and maybe not as important as we think it is.
Now, I have to say it's very grainy black and white, which makes me it makes me feel like he shot this on Kodak Tri-X. It's daylit, though. So there's no reason it should be that grainy. Don't tell. I didn't look and see what he used. Is this a digital camera or did he really shoot it on film? Because it really has a film look.
I don't see any significant
never know.
EXIF data that would
never
confirm
know.
that. Could be digital, could be film and scanned. Looking at the contrast, if you look at the tree on the left hand side and the contrast between that and the sky, that would lead me towards going might be a digital one or at least some heavy processing.
So nice.
After
could it just be a
But
camera phone
doesn't matter now,
shot
it doesn't.
using a hipstamatic filter or who knows?
Possible, yeah.
What's great is, it isn't in the past because you could see the vehicles in the street and the clothes people were wearing. It's modern, but it does, because it's black and white. That's one of the reasons I love black and white street photography. It becomes timeless. And I just think that's so beautiful. Great shots, all three of them. Thank you, everybody.
And all the others too. And we do have a new assignment. As we've done for a while, we continue with the alphabet. It's time for G, the letter G. And we have on the Flickr group, we have a little discussion board where everyone who is part of that group can post their suggestions for the next letter. So the H letter is open now for suggestions. So bring them on. But now we're at G, and suggested by Birenamin is golden. And golden as in the golden hour. So we're talking about the time of day, maybe an hour before sunset, the last hour of the sun being up, and the light turns this beautiful warm golden color. And that's when you shoot, and that's when you get some great photos. Great light.
I never get up early enough, but is there a golden hour in the morning too?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. But I have the same problem. More sunset shots than early morning shots.
A lot easier to do it at night. Chris Marquardt is our photography guru. Discover thetopfloor.com. If you take a picture illustrating the word golden, you will want to tag it with TG Golden and put it in our Tech Guy group at flickr.com. Renee Silverman, our moderator, will welcome you to the group if you're not already. Remember, all of that's free. Flickr.com, Tech Guy group, the tag TG Golden will give you 4 weeks to get out there and take a picture. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Oh, I love golden. That'll be fun. We don't, Big Don says, can I use a filter? Of course, you can do anything you want. We don't tell you how to do it. Just do it. Gosh, I love this street photography picture. This makes me want to take more street. I just love that.
Well, you need to be out more.
I know. I'm going to do golden. I'm going to do the golden one. I wish I had taken these pictures, but Chris Boland. Oh, it says taken with a Lomo LCW film camera.
Oh, I didn't read that.
Lomography.
There you go, LCW.
That's the beauty of Lomo. You can't focus it. You can give it a suggestion.
Oh.
Wow.
But look what comes out of that.
Oh,
it's an alive picture.
Oh, I love street. So I always wondered why people use Lomos. Now I know.
Well, it's one of the things about them.
Wow, that's nice. Lomo LCW. All right, Chris.
Talk to you.
Oh, it's the wide. This one shoots wide film.
Yeah. This looks like a 20 to 24 millimeter kind of thing.
The lens is 17.
Oh, 17 even.
17.
Oh.
But it's low
There we go,
quality.
but not as wide as the iPhone.
No. Oh,
not that it matters.
$389, and it's really worth $10 because it's a piece of plastic. But boy, that's a pretty nice camera. Wow. I mean, seriously, that looks great.
Yep.
Lomography. You see, it doesn't really focus. That's the problem with it. It doesn't focus. It's intentionally bad. Oh.
I don't think bad is the right term. It depends on your criteria. I mean, if sharpness and precision of color is your criteria, then yep, it's bad. But if emotion is your criteria, then
it gets the emotion.
it's really good.
And honestly, his picture's better than any of them on the page. Honestly. Wow.
What do we learn? Go get a film camera.
Go get a film camera. Wow. There's a new photo book by the dude, Jeff Bridges, and he carries around a wide, like it's two frames together.
It's a wide lux. It's a wide lux. It's a Japanese camera. It has a turret that moves. You press the shutter and it goes zoop, and it swoops across and takes a very wide photo.
He has the most amazing pictures. I just love them.
From locations that you typically don't.
Well,
get
yeah,
to.
because he's on the set. So one of the things he has people do is the dramatic masks. Heavy and sad, and it stitches them into one image. It's hysterical. Go to jeffbridges.com. He just posted his.
The dude and the Zen Master. Is that the one?
Yeah, he's the dude.
There's that. Okay, yeah. I have to see this because I do have one of his books.
Yeah, so apparently what he's been doing all the time is every time he does a movie, he'll make a book and then send it to everybody later. So here's
latest
tips on operating the wide lux camera from January 1989. Wow.
Yeah, if anyone has one of those wide lux cameras lying around and doesn't need them,
he's been using it apparently.
I could take them.
He's been using it apparently for years.
Forever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see if we could find some images. Yeah, these are wide lux. See how wide they are?
Yep.
Wow. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, ask Leo. That's the phone number. So we found out that Chris was talking about, of course, our 3 photos from our photo contest. And we were wondering about this third photo, which really looks like a black and white, film picture from years gone by. 2 people in London. It was taken by a Lomo LCW film camera. It was. And that's why it looks the way it does. It's a wide angle film camera, intentionally low quality. That's the funny thing about these. It's called lomography because people buy these cameras not because of their amazing crispness, but in fact quite the opposite. Very cool. Also, another follow-up. A lot of people sent me information about phones with keyboards. Turns out there are still plenty in the market, and I don't know why I didn't think of BlackBerry, but yes, of course, BlackBerry's still making phones with keyboards, including their Key 2. That's an Android device with a physical keyboard. Now, he asked for one that swipes out, and that's not what BlackBerry does. They don't swipe out, but there are some that still have swipe keyboards, like the LG Enact. The LG Enact, that's on Verizon. And the Samsung T699, the Samsung S Relay 4G, that's on T-Mobile. So yes, and it's only $89 on Amazon, which is probably worth every penny. So we'll put a link in the show notes to this September article from thedroidguy.com. Top 9 Android smartphones with physical QWERTY keyboards. For a while, remember there was it Ashton Kutcher? Somebody was selling a keyboard for your iPhone that you would attach on top of it. I think he got sued by BlackBerry, as I remember, and they had to stop selling it. But you might find that around on eBay or somewhere. I can't remember the name of that. Was it Ashton Kutcher? It was a keyboard. It had a funny name. I just can't quite remember it. It was an add-on for a phone. It wasn't that long ago. It was a couple of years ago. 8888 Ask Leo. My mind is going, but fortunately my callers aren't. Rick is still here from Sacramento. Hello, Rick.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks
I got a
calling.
quick question. The caller a while back about the Apple phone recognized the person that was having a heart attack. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm an Apple fanboy, but I have Android phone, 9S. So I really like the new Active 2 watch that's come out, but I haven't been able to see where, and I've called different carriers, the LTE phone hasn't came out yet. It's just Bluetooth.
Oh, that's frustrating. Yeah, because I have an earlier Samsung that does have a chip in it that does allow you to connect to the LTE network. That's nice because you don't have to have a phone in your pocket. You can go on a walk, go to the gym, exactly. and you still can. It can take. My Apple Watch will do that. I pay $10 extra a month for it, but I can take calls. It can get data even when I'm not next to my phone, and I like that very much. Maybe they just came out with a new Samsung watch, so it may be that LTE version has not yet shipped, but will, or maybe they've abandoned it. I don't know. I think it adds expense, right? And,
it's like $150 more.
Yeah, and maybe they've decided all the people who are not Apple are having trouble selling smartwatches. Apple dominates. Even dominates companies like Fitbit, which don't even technically make watches. They make fitness devices.
Right.
The sales of the Apple Watch are so huge compared to all the other devices that many of them are struggling. Now, I know it says Galaxy Watch has a standalone LTE model, but maybe that's the old one, not the newest one. I mean...
Well, on the site that advertises the Active 2, they reference that.
Yeah.
It's in the steel.
Yeah.
And they say that you have to check with carriers.
Yeah, they support LTE, theoretically. It says it on the website.
But all the carriers, I just call the helpline, and they say, we don't know anything about it. So.
Oh, come on, man. Well, you can buy it. You can buy it directly from Samsung.
I don't think you can.
Oh no, you're right. It says Bluetooth. It does not have LTE. You're right.
Right. Yeah.
You have so they're selling it through carriers. It may be you have to go to the carrier store. It's so new. Remember, this just came out this week.
Yeah. Well, the 27th
started shipping this week. So,
right.
It may be that the people on the phone have no idea. But if you went into who's your carrier?
Verizon.
Yeah, Verizon's sold them in the past. So if you go to the Verizon store, I would expect them to be better informed.
Okay.
I might be foolish. I might be foolish expecting that. But at least call the carrier. Well, you did that though, right? And they said no.
Yeah, I called the carrier.
Yeah.
I didn't call the store. I called the carrier.
Okay. Yeah, try a store because you know what I always look for when I go into a phone store, especially a company store, because the company stores, you have to really be careful. But I always look for the nerdiest guy in there, and you can kind of tell. You can kind of tell this guy maybe his personal hygiene isn't quite up to snuff with the other guys, and there's somehow you just tell that's the guy you go to. And I tell you, these guys, when I go in this, of course, when I go in the store, they say, "Oh, Leo, come on in." But I always go in and I'll kind of carry my phone ostentatious. I want them to know that I'm the geek. And then usually you'll find the guy, and that's the guy who will know because he's following this with great interest. He's going above and beyond. He's not waiting for Verizon to send out the memo.
All right, I'll try that.
Yeah, that would be my best bet. If anybody knows, if you're that guy in the Verizon store, 8888 Ask Leo. I got a customer for you. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Great to talk to you. Is that rude of me to say? But you can kind of tell. They got a glint in their eye. They're excited about their job. They're happy to be there. Most of the time you go, see, the reason I say in the company store, because when you go to an independent cell phone store, that almost always is run by those guys and gals. Those are the hardcore types, unless they hired somebody off the street just to come in and hold down the fort while they got lunch. But most of the time, they're the ones who go, oh yeah, I got something in the back here. Let me see. And I've found that in most when you go to the Verizon or the T-Mobile or the Sprint or the AT&T store, the company-owned stores, often there's one person in there, not the manager necessarily. In fact, usually not. There's one person in there who goes, yeah, well, I've been reading the enthusiast sites, and Android Police says we're going to have the LTE phone in a week. That's who you want. Ryan Seacrest, not Ashton Kutcher. I don't know why I confuse those two. But Ryan Seacrest had a BlackBerry clone keyboard called the Typo. Thank you, Gollum, in our chat room. And it was slide on to the phone. And it worked because it had little tappers in the back. Because the phone didn't know you had a physical keyboard on there. But this keyboard on the phone would slide up. And then you'd slide on the little tappers. And you could tap on your phone with a keyboard. And he got sued because it had the same kind of dome keys that BlackBerry had. Oh, this was back in 2015. I didn't realize it was that long ago. They settled. BlackBerry kills Ryan Seacrest's iPhone keyboard. The settlement means Typo is gone. Debuted January 2014. And BlackBerry said, those keys look just like ours. So that was for the iPhone 6. Huh. Well, it's long gone. If you're a hardcore Linux fella, you don't need my recommendation, obviously. But I've been liking Manjaro if you want a rolling distro. It's basically an installer. Manjaro, Manjaro, is an installer for Arch. But that's for people who really know what they're doing with Linux. It wouldn't be your first distro. For almost everybody else, and by the way, for years I loved Arch and used Arch, but honestly, and the Arch Wiki is still the best documentation for Linux anywhere, but honestly, Pop! OS, it just works. It just works. So unless you really know what you're doing, and if you do, well, absolutely go out and get, install Arch from scratch, or kind of the intermediate step is to use Manjaro and let it install. I used to recommend Antergos, but they stopped doing Antergos. Manjaro is basically the same thing. It's nice, very easy, does a great job. But for most people, and this is running Pop! OS, my computer at home. Almost all my Linux machines now are running Pop! OS. I have Manjaro on one machine. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. It's time to talk computers and the internet and home theater. We're going to talk about digital photography. We're talking about smartphones, smart watches, not so smart watches. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. If you want to talk about tech, I'm your man. 8888 Ask Leo. Line 2, Alan, Kennewick, Washington. Hello, Alan.
Good morning. I recently purchased a docking station for hard drives so I could pull some information off of a old computer hard drive.
Okay.
And when I got it, it's made in China, and I was wondering what's the possibility that there's some kind of firmware?
We're all getting paranoid now, aren't we?
Yeah, that's the truth.
I don't blame you. So first of all, everything's made in China, right? I mean,
yes.
Your iPhone's made in China. Your laptops are almost certainly made in China, unless they're from Samsung, in which case they're made in South Korea. China is the factory to the world. Now, obviously, the U.S. government wants to change that. They've put out extremely high tariffs, first round of which took effect last month. The next round takes effect in December, and that's going to make the cost of goods in China go sky high. So that may change, but the government is also warned, and I think quite reasonably, about companies like Huawei, Huawei's owned by former Chinese military guy. No one really knows who owns it. Huawei says, our workers own it. That's who owns it. But even if they weren't owned by the Chinese government, they're in China. They kind of have to follow the rules of the Chinese government. So, it's a good question. It's a legitimate question. It's not likely because you have to think about what we call the threat model. If you are you a diplomat, a secret agent?
No, I am not.
The real truth about all of this is there's two kinds of attacks. There's targeted attacks and there's widespread attacks. The ransomware attacks that you hear about where everybody gets an email that says, click this link, those are widespread attacks. But there are ransomware attacks that are targeted at companies. That explains why you might have heard that a whole bunch of Florida cities were attacked. Why all the Florida cities? Well, somebody was clearly attacking them specifically. Widespread attacks are easy to defend against. That's the threat model that, when I talk about keeping yourself safe, I'm almost always talking about that. Don't open attachments, don't click links, be careful, what software you download and install. That's all to defend against viruses, malware, widespread attacks. If you are, however, if you're Edward Snowden or a diplomat or a spy or a big company, then you are possibly the subject of targeted attacks. Those are much more difficult to defend against. Nobody's going to put firmware in that drive case trying to attack 1 million people who buy it. What would you even do with the data? On the other hand, if you were a diplomat, I might make sure that when you got that in the mail, we intercepted it, put a little chip in there, and sent it on. And that happens all the time. Those are called supply chain hacks. They don't need to get the manufacturer to put it in. They put it in en route. And that happens all the time. There are also very distinctive attacks against individuals' iPhones and Android phones. When you read about those, you might say, oh, man, my iPhone's not secure. Well, it is, unless you're the target. That's why they don't let the president use a regular phone, right? He has a special phone that's been equipped by the NSA to be more secure. So I don't think, unless you're the target, I don't think you have to worry. It's a reasonable question, completely. And the main reason it's reasonable is because if you are the target, there's not much you can do about it. You have to really change how you think about everything. I remember Kevin Roos wrote a great article in which he asked a couple of hackers to hack him, and they did successfully, even though he knew it was coming. And he asked a security guy, and the guy said, well, when you walk down the street, you don't expect to be attacked by ninjas. But if you happen to be the target of ninjas, there's not a lot you can do about it. But that doesn't mean we have to all defend against being attacked by ninjas. Yes, you're vulnerable. We are all vulnerable. But I think you're okay. So is it possible? Absolutely. And by the way, it's why you should not, for instance, use a USB key you find on the street. It's really easy to modify the firmware on these devices, on any device, to put spyware on your machine, to put a keystroke logger. You should always be careful. If you're using a computer at the hotel, at the business office, or at a library, a public computer, you got to always be careful because there's no way to know that there's not a keystroke logger in the cord that's attaching the keyboard to the computer. That's a common vulnerability. When we go to the gas station, we swipe our card. You got to be careful. It's really easy to put a little swiper in there. These things are all done easily, unfortunately. But I wouldn't worry about it. Unless you're a spy. Are you a spy? You wouldn't admit it if you were.
Is there any scan?
No, there's no way to know because you don't know what you're looking for.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, there is a way a little bit. Okay. So, yeah, they could put something in there, but it's useless to them unless they get it out. Right? So if it were a mass attack, it would have to have a radio in it, right? Or some way to connect to the internet. to exfiltrate the stuff. Now, what they actually come to think of it, what they could do, be easy to do, modify the firmware so when you plug that thing in, you're plugging it in via USB, it wakes up and goes, oh, good. It installs on the computer. Now your computer is the radio. It's talking to the real world and doing whatever they want to do. That is possible. But you would see it in activity coming out of your computer. So people really want to be secure. Like if you are a spy, you see this in the movies all the time. They scan the room, looking for bugs. Yeah, that works because they're looking for transmitters. You make sure you watch the traffic coming out of your machine, make sure that everything that's coming out is known. Mac users, there's a program you can use that'll do this called Little Snitch. It watches outbound traffic and says, did you mean this? It's annoying because everything you do on the computer phone's home, so you got to constantly go, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, no, that's not okay. On the PC, there are firewalls that do something similar. They watch outbound traffic and block stuff. But honestly, unless you're Alan Dulles, I think you're okay.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Hey, Alan, it's a really good question. I think this problem with talking about security, as we do all the time, is it's scary. And I don't mean to scare you. You're not the target most of the time. What you have to defend against is mass attacks, not targeted attacks. Much more difficult to defend against targeted attacks. The reason I say don't pick up a USB key and use it is that's a common mass attack. Well, it's maybe not a mass attack because obviously the hacker has to go to your company's parking lot and screw these around. But let's say I wanted to get into the servers at a company. Let's say I'm Mr. Robot and I want to hack this company. One good way to do it, they call it a candy drop, would be sprinkle a few, valuable-looking USB keys around. And chances are real good. One employee will go, oh, look, 128 gig key. It's free. I'm going to use it. Plug it into his computer. And it's an easy thing to do to make any USB device, that drive thing or your USB key. As soon as it's inserted, go, oh, good, and get on your machine. Put spyware on your machine. And that's how, if you run a company, you should be worried about this. Absolutely. And if you're not sophisticated about this stuff, or you don't feel like you can really protect, you should hire somebody who is. Everybody needs a IT professional who has good training in security who can lock this stuff down. We have a really good guy. I know my podcast company and my radio studio and all that are targets because we're public. People know about it. They'd love to get in here. So I know that we're a target. We're attacked all the time. But I have a really good IT guy who does a lot of stuff, which I won't tell you about, to protect us. And knock on wood, nobody in our front office, nobody in our business office has been hit. They didn't get an email. See, what you would do, be easy to do, email from Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, accountant. I won't say your name. I don't want to give it away. Hi, Sally. I've been looking for my taxes from last year. Can you just send them to me? I need them for a loan application. Sally says, well, it's from the boss. Maybe she doesn't look at the return address. She goes, oh, yeah. Yeah, let me just attach those taxes with my social security number, my home address, all my income. Let me just attach those and send them right out. What if it's not me? What if somebody posing as me? You know how easy that it is to do? But in order to do that, you'd have to know my name. You'd have to know Sally's name. You'd have to know exactly what the email address. You'd have to know something. It's what we call spear phishing. It's a targeted attack. Those are much harder to defend against. Much harder. 8888 asks, Leo, that's a great question. I love talking about this stuff, and I don't want to scare everybody. We need to talk about security, but I don't mean to say, oh, get off the internet. It's like remember when we first got credit cards and, first we were able to buy stuff with credit cards on the internet and everybody, oh, is it safe? Is it safe? I had to point out, yes, it's safe. It's probably safer than giving your credit card to a waiter who disappears for 5 minutes. Oh, okay. Well, you're right. That probably is safer. And back then, it wasn't that safe. But it was better than that. Do you still give your credit card to a server who disappears? In Europe, they don't do that anymore because it's not safe. The server brings a credit card charging device to you. You watch as they do the whole thing. They don't get to steal your credit card number. In Europe, their credit cards require a PIN for usage. So you go to the gas station, use a credit card, but then you have to enter the PIN on a separate pad. That eliminates a lot of these attacks where they put a little shim in the card slot. Here in the United States, it's chip and sign. There's no PIN, right? What do they ask for? Your zip code. Okay, that's secure. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Let's talk tech. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The Tech Guy podcast brought to you, quite literally brought to you by CacheFly. That's our content delivery network, CacheFly CDN. And we've been using it for a decade now to make sure that when you download one of our shows, whether it's from the website, through a podcast app, it gets to you quick, fast, without a hitch. That's important. That's our, we don't have trucks. I don't have a paper boy delivering the podcast to you. We have CacheFly. And it better be reliable. And you know what? In 10 years, not one problem ever. CacheFly is amazing. If you have users that get your content, whether it's a podcast or an app, from the internet, CacheFly gives your users the seamless experience they want, they expect, and it gives you a lot less worry at night, let me tell you. And besides that, CacheFly CDN is 30% faster than the competition. That's right. CacheFly CDN delivers rich media content, data, up to 10 times faster than traditional delivery methods, up to 30% faster than the other big CDNs. And because CacheFly servers are all over the world, they can back it with a 100% SLA. You don't get better than that. CacheFly guarantees the best user experience for all your customers, no matter where they are, no matter what device they're using. For me, it's been a blessing. I'm not the only one who uses them. LG, Microsoft, Adobe, Ars Technica all use CacheFly's CDN. And you don't have to worry about the billing because they work with you. They bill us on a yearly basis. So it smooths out all the peaks. We're very, as you might imagine, spiky. Like after Twit comes out on Sunday, that's the poof. We do literally. CacheFly delivers petabytes every month. Petabytes of data for us every month. But it's, even though it's spiky, I don't have to log in and say, did I exceed my bandwidth today or this month or this week? No, they spread it out over a year, which means you save, you have less worry, there's no billing spikes. And I mean you save. CacheFly customers on average save 20%. Save 20%. You want to know how you can do that? You want to know how to save 20%? We've set it up so that you can submit your existing bill to CacheFly and get a quote. No pressure, no sales, just the information you need to make the decision. twit.cachefly.com. See if you're overpaying. That's all. You owe it to yourself. And if you're not using a CDN, you need CacheFly. twit.cachefly.com. We thank CacheFly so much for 10 years of bringing Twit and all of our shows, including the Tech Guy podcast, to you. Thank you, CacheFly. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, rocking and rolling with our musical director, Lady Laura. You weren't even born when this song was made.
Nope.
Not even close. I don't know if your dad was born when this song was made. Air Show Rob on the line from Idaho, Maine. Hello, Air Show Rob.
Hello, Leo. What a wonderful day this is.
Thank you.
And it's not quite so sunny up here, but hey, I hope it's gorgeous there.
Are you doing an air show? I thought I saw you were doing an air show today. Maybe not.
Not today.
Okay.
I was in Miramar at San Diego last weekend. Got a few weeks off, and then I go down to Florida for the last 3 of the year for me.
So you do these with the Navy?
I do them for whoever will hire me. I'm, one of those pick me kind of guys. Living in a gig economy.
Yeah, you got to. And what is it like a play-by-play? You're at an air show and you here they come, the P-32s. Oh my goodness, they're coming over. Like that?
Exactly. It's here he comes. Here they come. There they go. What the hell was that?
It's not a hard job, but it takes a certain type.
Well, it quite frankly, it's a combination between information, entertainment, inspiration, and patriotism.
Fun. Well, that's a perfect combination. You know, we've talked before, and I've told you this, but I used to do the Blue Angels air shows in San Francisco during Fleet Week when I worked at the station there. It was so much fun. Now, I didn't do the play-by-play, but I'd work with they have their own commentator, so I'd work with him as he did the commentary. It was amazing, man. That's so fun.
Those guys are so cool. Yeah. And I work with their narrator up at Winter Training every year with some coaching. And so the Blue Angels are particularly good friends. And
they're
unbelievably
good.
So the fact that you got to hang with those guys and you get extra description that most of the people don't get.
Oh, yeah. You hear the side chatter.
Isn't that amazing?
What can I do for you, Air Show Robert?
Oh my gosh, Leo, I have been ticked off at iTunes for some time, and now that it's going away, what should I use as a?
Well, it isn't going away. This is really Apple kind of misstated this.
Okay.
They divided iTunes into 3 parts. There's music, there's podcasts. You're getting the new Apple TV, so that's where the video and stuff goes. And then the syncing, which is really the most important part of iTunes, is now just part of the operating system. So there's a little sync icon up in your menu bar, which honestly, that's what it should have been done in the first place. The biggest problem with iTunes is they jammed too much into that box, and it was impossible to use. So if you're looking, what is it that you do with iTunes? Music playback?
Music playback, but also just I like to listen to old-time radio, so I've got a lot of MP3s of old-time radio loaded in there.
Yeah, well, you could keep using that.
So
I'll
that
tell
won't
you,
change, huh?
no, that's all going to be exactly the same. That's the music player part of it. And because they're decoupling the other stuff, it should be, in theory, a lot easier and simpler and more straightforward.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Hey,
I will tell you what I use, which is not iTunes, and it might be worth a look. It's called Vox. Are you on the Mac?
Yeah.
I made that assumption. I shouldn't have. Okay.
Yep.
So Vox is a third-party music player. I got it because, unlike iTunes, it plays high-resolution music. So I, for a while, went through a phase where I would buy 24-bit stuff. It's at vox.rocks, which is a very good URL, vox.rock. So I got it because it would play it back. It's a very compact, nice little player. It will play back all your other stuff, too. And they have an online component you don't have to use, but you can pay for. It's very inexpensive, a music cloud. So you can put everything up there in the cloud and then use Vox on your Mac, but also on your iPhone and stream.
Oh, that's nice.
So I think it's worth a look. I'm sure they have a free trial. It's not a free program, but I that's what I use, and I like it very much.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Hey, one other quick thing here. Well, I've heard that WWV may be going away. Is that still?
It was not in the budget. They put it back in the budget. WWV, I'm very pleased to say, this is the time that you get the time radio station in Colorado, that you get the shortwave, high-frequency information about what time it is. NIST got the budget for it, and they're going to keep it. They're going to keep. Hallelujah, right?
Yeah, I mean, oh my God.
How much could that cost? Don't cut the budget for WWV. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That was crazy. Now, admittedly, everybody now gets their time in other ways, but I just loved it.
Yeah, I still got a lot of clocks around the house that sync with it 3 a.m., whatever.
That's the one behind me does that. And without WWV, I would have to set it manually. Heaven forfend.
And I've got 2 Blue Angels watches that do the same thing. They're Citizen.
Oh, interesting.
So.
Oh, that's cool. I love those Citizen watches. Those are really nice.
Yeah, they are pretty fun. But
so they were going to close it. They didn't have it budgeted, and I think there was such an outpouring, hue and cry, that people said, "Oh, okay, we're gonna keep our time services going." Thank goodness.
Yeah.
How much could that have cost? Nothing.
It's budget dust.
Dust, literally. Nothing.
Yeah. And there's and the NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology.
Yes, I think you're right. Yes.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
In Boulder. And I love it. And I love listening. You have to do it on the internet now, unless you have one of those fancy radios. Bong, bong, the time is now. I love that. I loved that.
Yeah, I'm a ham radio operator too.
And there you go. That's why you know.
Well, yeah, and I've got a shortwave set up here in Maine, our vacation place, and I will actually tune it in on whatever frequency.
Leave it on
best.
Leave it on
All day.
all day.
TikTok.
WWVB.
Yeah. Well, hey, Leo, thank you. I nice to connect up and learn from you. It's just cool.
My pleasure. It's so good to talk to you. Keep up the good work. I hope to be at an air show where you are working.
Oh, except it's always at the time you're working.
I know. They do them on the weekends.
Yeah.
I haven't had weekends free in, 40 years. I don't know. A long time.
Well, and I'm hoping that I can swing up there and catch you on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or something like that.
Please do. I'd love to meet you.
Likewise.
Are you in San Diego or are you in Maine?
I'm in Maine now. I was San Diego last weekend, but I only do a couple of shows a year in California. One is in Salinas and one is in Miramar.
Yeah.
So I just got to work so that if I don't have anything either the week before or the week after, that I can extend my time.
Oh, I would love that.
I do about 20-some shows a year.
That's quite a few.
Yeah, nobody's holding a gun to my head. That's
a lot of work. That's a lot of travel. Well, you love doing it. Sure. Are there other people who do that?
There are. There are like 4 or 5 of us who are full time at it, making a living at it, and that's good. So. Yeah. And one of the guys is Rick Peterson, who's up at that Kim has worked with.
Oh, neat.
Up at Fleet Week, and another is a guy named Matt Jolly, whose wife is an Air Force colonel, and a couple other guys too. So it's a lot of fun to be around the air show people, as long as nobody's getting hurt.
Yeah, it was a terrible tragedy. Wow.
Yeah, and the guy who was the pilot had 7,400 hours in the B-17, and it's just tragic.
So it says you can dial 303-499-7111.
And get it?
Yeah, but this is an old. I would love to do that. They're not toll-free.
Of course, there'd be some latency in that, wouldn't there?
Yeah, that's why it's better to just to do either radio or even the internet has latency. Radio would be the best.
Yeah.
I want to hear it. I'm trying to find somewhere where I can play it on the internet, but I can't find anywhere. Because I'd like to play it for everybody so they can hear it.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
National Institutes in Technology time.
Yes. I love that.
Beep.
Beep. Oh, I could call with Skype maybe. Yeah.
Oh, that would work.
Yeah. Hey, maybe, Kim, maybe you can call 303. Can you call out on your phone? Can you? If you could call 303-497-3295. And we could...
Who am I calling?
The time person thing. It's not a real person. 303... I hope that's the right number. All right, I got to go. I'm trying to get Kim to call the time people in Fort Collins because I want to play it for you. I don't know if you've ever heard it before, the thing that Rob was talking about, the National Institutes of Standards and Technology have a time thing, WWV. There's a radio station. If you have a clock, I have a clock here that sets itself automatically. Sometimes they call them atomic clocks. That's not really what they are, but they're radio clocks. They set themselves to WWVB, which is a radio station at 60 hertz out of Fort Collins, Colorado. Kim, call 303-499-7111. Can I get a line? Oh, can I? I don't even know if I can get a line. Can I get a line? Do we have that technology? I don't even know if I can. We should call the tech guy and find out. Line 1, Doug, Roseburg, Oregon. Hello, Doug. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Well, we just got back from a trip, and of course you come back with all those photos.
Oh, man, do I know it.
Yeah. Well, we would like to put those photos in a slideshow and maybe add captions and some, audio with it. and maybe a video or two in there.
I hear your wife. And then tell him.
Because I'm really frustrated with Google Photos.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't do. Do you want to put it on a DVD or do you want to?
No.
Better to put it on like a flash drive that then you could take to somebody's house and go traveling slideshow.
Yeah.
Know?
So there are a lot. This is still, it was a very popular category, and I think things like Google Photos have kind of superseded in a lot of ways, but there are still plenty of slideshow making programs. You probably even have one. You could use any presentation manager like Microsoft's PowerPoint or Apple's Keynote to do it. But there's also companies like Roxio that make programs that are specifically for this. If you have any of the Adobe Creative Cloud stuff, that will also do slideshows. But and then actually Corel may make the best one of these. Let me go look at the Corel site to find out what the name of it is. But they've been making this for years, and their software is more designed to make a DVD out of it. But if you can make a DVD, of course you can make a USB thumb drive. They call it what is it? Photo editing. What do they call it? Is it Photo? No, that's not it. Photo Mirage. Corel.com. They have, I don't know.
How do you spell
Corel? Corel. They've kind of specialized in keeping around software that used to be really everybody used it, and now nobody. They were the WordPerfect company. Remember WordPerfect?
You mean we're not on the cutting edge?
You are, though. I think that's a completely reasonable thing to want to do. I'm just looking at what I feel like there should be free stuff. Most of the stuff that's out there, including Roxio's Creator and the Corel photo stuff, is designed to burn it to DVD. And so Paint Shop Pro Photo is the Corel program. But I'm going to put a link, because Scooter X found a good link at the Corel site, Corel.com, on how to use Video Studio to create slideshows. Okay. So it would allow you to drag a music in there and so forth. Do you have a smartphone?
Yeah.
Which smartphone do you have?
We're not that old.
Android or iOS?
They're Apple phones.
Yeah, so all the Apple phones, this is why companies like Roxio and Corel are kind of not really anxious to make this stuff. All the Apple phones come with software to do this easily. But you have to. The downside is you're doing it on your phone. If you have an iPad, it's a little easier because it's a bigger screen. But Apple makes a number of programs that will do this. The easiest, most obvious one is iMovie, and that's on your phone. If it's not, it's a free download. And it does this as well. So, but honestly, the Corel stuff is not expensive. So I'll put links in the show notes at techguylabs.com, or you can just go to Corel.com, and they have a little tutorial on how to make a slideshow, a video with pictures and music. And now, they call it a video because they don't just put the picture up and then the next picture and the next picture. They do like it's video, so the picture moves and the other picture moves. So they call it the Ken Burns effect. Did you ever see the Civil War documentary he did?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he had trouble because really there was no video, obviously, of the Civil War. So he wanted to make a TV show. So what he did is they call it now the Ken Burns effect, but he panned over the images to make them look like they're moving. And it really is a great effect because you can focus people's attention on the center, grandma, there's grandma, and then you can pull back and you'll see the rest of the people at the Thanksgiving dinner. So that's why they make these in video, so you can do stuff like that. If you just want to do a slideshow, of course, Google will do that. They'll even add music if you want. But if you want to have something a little bit more fluid, then you want a video editor. And Corel, as I said, Roxio, and even Apple's iMovie will do that. Try iMovie in your phone. If all your pictures are on the phone.
Yeah.
It's just hard because it's a small device.
It's so little.
So little. That's right. Apple actually called it the Ken Burns effect in iMovie. They neglected to ask Ken And he was a little miffed. He was a little miffed. He said, they never asked me. And he was kind of mad. They said, look, we'll make a donation in your name to a charity, okay? And he said, all right. But it is now the Ken Burns effect, so he was right to be mad. Apple actually named it that. There are a lot of choices out there. This is do you have a Windows or a Mac machine? Do you have a computer?
Windows.
Yeah, so PowerPoint, which comes with Microsoft Office, will also do this. Oh, and there's another program Microsoft offers for free. I've used on some of my trips, because I have the same problem as you. I take way too many pictures. It's called Sway, sway.office.com. And it's kind of like a presentation manager, but I've used it to do kind of animated stories of my trips with text and pictures and video. And I think it's very nice. The nice thing is you can put it online and you can send people a link. It's a great way to share that with people. And and Microsoft has made this for free. It's sway.office.com.
Okay.
So before I go on a trip, I go through, and usually it's in the last few days before the trip, this exact process of going, all right, I want to share my pictures. What's the best way to do it currently? And I did one year, I did Sway, and it was really fun. And I got the idea from our Windows Weekly host, Mary Jo Foley. She did a Sway of her trip to Vietnam, and it was amazing. It's more like a blog, kind of. It's not quite so animated, but it's a nice way to share this with people because everybody can look. Everybody has a web browser, so that's kind of neat too. And that's free. There's some ideas for you. I have yet to decide. I'm going on vacation in a few weeks. I have yet to decide. I know I'm going to come back with 6,000 photos. Last time I sent postcards every day. I used an Apple app called PhotoCard, and I sent out a postcard every day. My family has asked me not to do that this year. 27 postcards later, they were kind of through. They were done. They said, my daughter said, that's a lot of postcards. My dad said, can I throw those away now? I got the message. Not going to do PhotoCard this year. What do you use to make slideshows of your trips? Why don't you give me a ring and tell me? Maybe there's something out there that's really cool. 8888 Ask Leo. I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it too. Or you put it up on the website, techguylabs.com. One last segment before we wrap it up for the weekend. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
So.
Yes.
You pick up the handset.
Yeah. Pick up the handset. Okay.
Handset.
First, I got to hang up on them.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Handset. Any handset. Oh yeah.
Handset.
Okay.
One of the hotlines.
Hotline.
One of them. No. The button on this side. The handset. Yeah, this one. This is the handset.
This is the one. Yeah. Oh, I got dial tone. 9. I don't remember what the number is.
1303. I don't know. It's 1303.
What's the number, chat room? 499-7111.
Then if you get what you want, push this button, whatever corresponding button on this side,
yeah.
That puts it on the air.
That puts it on the air. So this opens the line.
That's for the handset.
Do I have to press send? It hasn't.
Go.
Where's go?
The green button.
Go.
Now put it on the air with one of these buttons. Yeah.
That?
Yeah.
At the tone, 20 hours, 45 minutes, coordinated universal time.
Now I have to wait a whole minute.
Actually, at the bottom of the hour,
yeah,
it skips the tick. There's a missing tick, and that's the 30.
Oh. Huh.
At the tone, 20 hours, 46 minutes, coordinated universal time.
Just leave it on. He leaves it on. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Lady Laura, our musical director, for spinning the discs. if that's what she still does. Thank you for our phone angel, the wonderful Kim Schaffer, answering the phones. Thank you for listening. Wouldn't be silly to do this if nobody were listening. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm listening right now to
20 hours, 47 minutes, Coordinated Universal Time.
There it is. That's the phone call to the National Institute of Standards and I would say Standards in Time, but Standards in Technology, and that's the guy. You can't call. You remember old timers like me will remember calling popcorn. Remember that? The lady who would tell the time lady. You don't need that anymore. Your phone always knows what time it is. Most of your clocks do too. But time lady, and it turned out that was a very weird, complicated technology because remember, this is pre-digital. They had reel-to-reel tapes that would play in sequence kind of like a complicated pipe organ to tell you what time it was. AT&T took her off the air after a few years ago. Popcorn was the number you dialed. Any area code, popcorn. Line 2, Rich in Riverside. Hi, Rich.
Hey, Leo.
Hey, how are you?
I'm all right.
Good, welcome.
Hey, I have a son, a teenager with some mental health issues, and I need to monitor his text messages without him knowing. Is there an app that I can download to do that?
Boy, I feel for you, and of course, any parent would absolutely understand. I always say if a child is not getting in trouble, it's better not to spy on them. But there are plenty of circumstances, yours is one of them, where it's your duty as his parent to protect him and keep him safe. And if you have to monitor the text messages to do it,
he's been confiding in his friends, but he's found out that I looked a couple times at his text messages, and so now he deletes them every evening, and I can't get to them, and I need to know.
What kind of phone does he have?
It's an Android.
Okay. So that's an easy thing to do on Android. Apple has some tools to do it as well, but it's a little bit harder. Remember, though, it can be an escalating back and forth. If he detects that you're doing it, then he's going to try other means, including not using his phone. And so there's always that risk. There are a number of programs, though, that you can put on the phone. The problem is, of course, if you put it on the phone, he's going to notice that you're doing it.
Sure.
But if you search for monitor text messages on Android, it's particularly easy. There is one that says it does it remotely, and that's kind of what you want. But again, you're going to have to. Is he pretty sophisticated in terms of technology?
He is fairly sophisticated. I did look a little bit on Google earlier this morning, and I found a couple different things that charge a pretty large amount monthly that will actually forward his text messages to my emails.
Yeah, but in order to do that, again, you have to put something that he will see on his phone. It's not, he'll see that there's an app there, and if he's technical, if he's sophisticated, and he thinks that Dad might be monitoring him, he could find those fairly easily. If he were on an iPhone, you can share accounts. There's ways to do it, but there are ways to do it, paid ways to do it that require installing an app on the phone. Maybe you can install one that doesn't apparently show itself. This is an interesting problem because if he can see that, you've put My Spy on your phone, he's going to see a program. Almost all these have the word spy in them.
Sure.
Now, if I'm him and I see a program I did not install with the word spy in it, I'm going to pretty quickly get what's going on. Yeah. I wonder if the phone company can help you on this because he is on your account, obviously.
Correct. I considered that. It's Verizon.
Yeah, I would ask Verizon if they have, because that's a way you could do it without putting an app on his phone. Mm-hmm. All of these go through Verizon. Obviously, they can do it if they want to.
All right, maybe the next step I need to take then.
There are, and I really hesitate to recommend these, though. There are apps you can invisibly put on a phone. These are often used by spouses to spy on their spouses, things like that. I don't like to recommend those just because I think that's fairly nasty.
When I Googled this morning, that's the kind of thing I found. All of these things, is your wife cheating on you?
Yep.
Download this. It's like, that's not what I'm doing. I need to protect my son.
You have every
understanding what he's doing.
Yeah, this is your duty as a parent. I think this is a good thing to do, and I completely understand. I would not, I would in no way condemn you for this. I would. Verizon does have some smart family apps that are designed to do this. If it's a Verizon app, or if it isn't even an app, then I think he's much less likely to suspect you're doing this.
Sure. I don't even necessarily want to confront him with what I find. I just want to know
Keep
where...
an eye on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he's suicidal, you want to know. I don't blame you one bit. That's your job, and I'm sorry you had to go through this. I have family members who have similar problems, and I completely understand.
It's been an interesting, to say the least, last couple of months, and
I'm so sorry.
I need to do everything I can to help him.
Thank you. You have my heart and blessings. And Verizon has something called Smart Family, and I would look at that. They do have monitoring tools in Smart Family. It seems most likely, it doesn't have the word spy in it. Seems most likely to look like an innocuous. You can view call and text activity, so it's exactly what you want. It's designed as a parental control thing, so I would guess this is what you want, but I would check it out. Verizon Smart Family. You could just Google that and you can read what it'll do. The trick is, he's smart. Often kids who have mental illness issues are the smartest kids. I often feel like they're just more sensitive than you and me.
And that's some of the problem. He is so smart, and it's actually kind of a burden, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, no, I completely understand.
It's more difficult for him.
Yeah, I completely understand. It's harder. His life is harder because he's smart, because he's more aware, because he's hypersensitive. Yeah.
He said to one of his friends in a text message that I saw last week, "Do you know how many times I've heard from teachers and my father that I am so smart and I should be doing better? I'm tired of it."
Yeah.
And I thought I was complimenting him.
I know.
But it wasn't.
Don't blame yourself. It's so hard to be a parent, and you're doing the best you can, and I think this is absolutely part of your parental duty. So I think because you're on Verizon, I think you're going to be able to find exactly what you need.
Thank you.
In this Verizon family. Good luck. Hang in there. I've gone through this and come out the other side, I might add. There is absolutely hope. Don't forget our website, techguylabs.com. That's where we put everything I talk about. And you can add more. So if you're listening to the show, and I know it happens all the time, and you go, oh, I got a good idea, or here's a program I use, or this is how I make my photo slideshows, or whatever, techguylabs.com. It's free. There's no sign up. And you can leave your thoughts and comments there, too. Just look for this episode 1600, I don't know, 1633. Wow, we've done a lot of them. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.